If a woman can wake up one morning and decide that the life you built together suddenly feels unfamiliar to her, and you're left lying awake, staring into the dark, trying to pinpoint when everything shifted, you're not alone. This happens to far more men than anyone openly admits, and the reason most men never see it coming is simple. They believe stability will protect them. It won't. Not in the way they were taught. Stay with me, brother, because this story begins quietly and ends with lessons most men only learn after the damage is done. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Harold. This is The Hidden Code, a space for men who want real-world clarity around relationships and self-mastery, grounded in practical psychology you can actually apply. No abstract theory, no comforting illusions, just patterns that work. Today's story comes from a viewer I'll call Daniel. He's 44, a senior architect at a mid-sized firm in the Midwest, married for 17 years, 2 children, 13 and 10. By every visible measure, he had the life men are told to strive for: reliable income, a tidy home in a quiet suburb, a wife he still found attractive, kids doing well in school, no chaos, no obvious drama, and then, almost overnight, everything unraveled. Daniel wrote, "I'm sharing this because I keep watching men walk straight into the same trap. They believe it can't happen to them. I believed that too. I was wrong." That sentence should already make you uneasy because it almost always starts that way. Daniel met Anna when they were both 26. She worked in marketing at a fast-growing tech company. He was wrapping up grad school, long hours, big ambitions. They met at a friend's backyard barbecue and connected over hiking trails and obscure documentaries no one else wanted to sit through. She stood out not because she tried to, but because she didn't have to. Athletic, naturally stylish, the kind of woman other women quietly measured themselves against. But what pulled Daniel in wasn't her appearance, it was her steadiness. She wasn't obsessed with social media, didn't chase validation, didn't need constant reassurance. She felt grounded, or at least that's how it seemed then. They married at 28, had their first child at 30, their second at 33. Anna stepped away from full-time work to focus on raising the kids, keeping one foot in the door with freelance projects. Daniel's career advanced steadily: promotions, respect, eventually partnership. Life settled into a predictable rhythm: date nights, family vacations, quiet evenings once the kids were asleep. Daniel described it as comfortable. Not fireworks, not chaos, just dependable. The kind of love people label mature. What Daniel didn't see was that while he believed the storm had already passed, it was actually forming somewhere he couldn't reach, inside Anna's mind. As she moved into her late 30s, the changes were subtle enough to dismiss. She started going to the gym more. 4 days a week became 6, then 7. New workout clothes, brighter, tighter, more revealing. Daniel assumed she was simply taking better care of herself. That's what good husbands are expected to assume. Then her phone habits shifted. Fitness influencers, life coaches, quotes about rediscovering yourself, refusing to settle, choosing yourself first. He'd glance over and catch lines about cages you never realized you were living in. He didn't feel threatened. He felt puzzled. Then came the mirror moments. Anna would stand there scrutinizing herself: crow's feet, her neck, her arms. She'd ask Daniel if he noticed. He'd tell her she looked amazing, and she'd fire back that he wasn't really looking. That moment should have carried more weight than it did. Daniel told himself this was just normal aging anxiety. What he didn't understand was that this wasn't self-improvement, it was self-comparison, and the measuring stick had changed. He didn't yet know that comfort planted in the wrong psychological soil doesn't grow loyalty, it grows restlessness. And once that takes hold, everything begins to move. Before we go any further, brother, if any of this already sounds familiar, drop a comment with one word: aware. Sometimes naming the pattern is the first step toward protecting yourself. And if you want more unfiltered breakdowns like this, real stories, psychology, real-world dynamics, subscribe and join a growing group of men who choose awareness over denial and growth over comfort. Because what appears stable on the surface can be quietly fracturing underneath. And the next part of this story is where most men realize it far too late. What Daniel didn't grasp at the time was that Anna wasn't just adjusting routines, she was shifting her reference points. And when someone changes how they measure their own value, everything downstream shifts with it. Around her 40th birthday, Anna began talking about feeling invisible, not dramatically, almost offhandedly. She mentioned how waiters no longer flirted, how men held doors for younger women but barely acknowledged her. She'd point out women in their 20s and say, "I used to look like that," with a strange blend of nostalgia and resentment. Daniel brushed it off, brother. He told himself it was normal. Midlife reflection, aging concerns. He didn't realize those remarks weren't observations. They were warnings. For her birthday, Daniel planned what any attentive husband would: a luxury hotel, spa treatments, great meals, time away from the kids. On paper, it was flawless. In reality, Anna was mentally elsewhere the entire weekend, smiling but distant, laughing but distracted. Half her attention stayed locked on her phone. That's when Daniel noticed something else. She had begun posting more gym selfies, cafe shots, carefully angled photos with captions about new beginnings and self-love. The responses poured in, mostly from women, but also from men Daniel didn't recognize. Flame emojis, compliments. "How are you still single?" "Where have you been all my life?" Anna checked those comments obsessively, and Daniel felt something shift in his gut that he couldn't quite explain. After 40, everything sped up. Anna started going out more with a friend named Rachel, recently divorced, loud about empowerment, loud about not owing anyone explanations, loud about putting yourself first at any cost. Rachel was dating a personal trainer 8 years younger and broadcasted it like a triumph. Anna absorbed it all. Girls' nights stretched later, 1 a.m., then 2. When Daniel asked questions, Anna snapped back, said he was controlling, said she'd spent years raising kids and deserved freedom. He backed off. He didn't want to be that guy. And that's where many men make their fatal error. They confuse restraint with wisdom. Her appearance changed again. Highlights turned fully blonde. Ripped jeans, crop tops, leather jackets. She looked good objectively, but there was an edge to it, a hunger, like she was chasing a version of herself that no longer existed. Then intimacy faded. Not abruptly, slowly. Too tired, too stressed, not in the mood. Weeks became months. When Daniel tried to talk about it, she accused him of only wanting sex. He didn't. He wanted connection, presence, proof that he still mattered. But every attempt ended in conflict. So eventually he stopped trying. That's when she asked for space. A weekend alone to think. A solo retreat. Couples therapy, but with a tone that felt administrative rather than hopeful. The sessions were brutal. Anna spoke about losing herself, about feeling unseen, about motherhood erasing her identity. Daniel listed years of support, compromise, sacrifice. The therapist nodded toward Anna and asked Daniel what he could do differently. He left those rooms feeling like the antagonist in his own marriage. And then came the calm, the kind of calm that should terrify you. One Tuesday night with the kids at their grandparents', Anna sat at the kitchen table with a glass of wine, relaxed, composed, centered. Too centered. "We need to talk," she said. That's when she told him about another man, a guy from the gym. Younger, recently separated. "He sees me," she said. "He makes me feel alive." 6 months. That's how long it had been happening. Music. When Daniel asked if it had become physical, she said that wasn't the point. What mattered, according to her, was that she felt something with him she hadn't felt with Daniel, music, in years. Safe, she said, predictable, appreciated, but not desired. That word, music, landed hardest, brother. This is the moment where many men still believe the story can be saved. That honesty means a reset. It rarely does, because by the time someone speaks this calmly, the choice was made long before the confession. If this part of the story feels uncomfortably close, comment truth. Just that word. It's not blame, it's recognition. What we're about to unpack is what was actually happening in Anna's mind, why this pattern repeats, and why Daniel couldn't have stopped it the way he still thought he should have. And once you understand the mechanism, you can't unsee it. What broke Daniel wasn't only the betrayal, it was realizing the marriage had already ended in Anna's head long before she ever spoke the words. The affair didn't destroy the relationship. It revealed the fracture that had existed all along. Over the next few days, the details surfaced in pieces: late-night texts, coffee meetings during the workday, long conversations that slowly crossed boundaries. Yes, it became physical more than once. No, she wasn't sure she loved the other man, but she was certain she didn't love Daniel the way she once did. She described him as safe, predictable, reliable. She said she appreciated everything he'd done, and then she delivered the sentence that quietly ends countless marriages: appreciation isn't attraction. Anna reframed her entire adult life as a cage. Girlfriend, wife, mother, roles she claimed had erased her identity. She wanted to feel wanted for who she was, not valued for what she provided. When Daniel asked about the kids, she said they'd adapt. Kids are resilient, better than growing up in a marriage that was already dead inside. That's how these stories are usually told: clean, logical, almost virtuous. Within a month, she moved out. A downtown apartment, a new routine. The kids split their time, confused and angry. Their daughter barely spoke to Anna for weeks. Daniel later learned through mutual friends that the gym guy wasn't the first, just the one who lasted. Her divorced friends had encouraged her the whole way, framing it as freedom, a glow-up, a rebirth. Her social media became a highlight reel. Restaurants, concerts, weekend trips, captions about choosing happiness and living authentically. The comments flooded in, mostly women. So proud of you. You deserve this. Meanwhile, Daniel was sitting across from his children trying to explain why their family no longer existed. The relationship with the other man lasted 7 months, predictably. He wasn't ready for kids, music schedules, or the gravity of an ex-husband in the background. When it ended, Anna briefly reached out, suggested starting over. Daniel declined, not from bitterness, but from clarity. The woman he married wouldn't have done this, and the music woman standing in front of him wasn't her anymore. Now we need to slow down and look at what actually happened psychologically, brother. Because this wasn't random, and it wasn't about Daniel failing as a husband. For many women, ages 35 to 45 create a psychological collision. An identity built on youth, desirability, and being chosen starts to crack against reality. From adolescence on, attention is constant. Compliments, pursuit, validation, it's dopamine, it's reinforcement. It becomes evidence of worth. When that stream slows, panic sets in. Attention from a husband doesn't hit the same. He already chose you. His desire feels assumed. It doesn't answer the background question that grows louder with age. Do I still have it? Am I still desirable to men who have options? The other man answered that question: music, instantly. Younger, new, uncertain. He chose her when he didn't have to. That validation hit harder than years of devotion ever could. Neurochemistry backs this up. New attraction floods the brain with dopamine and novelty. Long-term relationships stabilize music into something calmer, healthier, sustainable. But for someone dependent on external validation, that calm feels like emptiness. So Anna didn't fall in love. She chased a chemical surge. She mistook intensity for truth. And once she crossed that line, her mind did something else to protect itself. It rewrote history. 17 years became a prison. The good years shrank. Stability transformed into oppression. This is revisionist memory. When someone makes a choice that harms others, the mind edits the past to justify the present. I didn't destroy something good. I escaped something bad. Everyone around her reinforced it. Therapy validated feelings without challenging motives. Friends amplified dissatisfaction. Social media rewarded the performance. No one asked whether she was running from aging instead of toward freedom. Daniel couldn't compete with novelty. He couldn't out dopamine insecurity. This wasn't a failure of effort. It was an identity collapse. If this reframing clicked for you, comment clarity. One word. Because once you understand the mechanism, you stop blaming yourself for a crisis that was never yours to fix. In the next part, we break down the exact red flags Daniel missed, the cultural forces accelerating this pattern, and how men protect themselves without becoming bitter or closed off. This is where insight becomes foresight. By the time Daniel saw the pattern clearly, the damage was already done. And that's the part most men struggle with. Not the loss itself, but realizing the warning signs were there long before the explosion. They just didn't look dangerous at the time. Let's talk about those signs, brother, because they matter more than the story. Sudden obsession with appearance that goes beyond health. Not I want to feel strong, but I need to be seen. Constant comparison to younger women. Casual comments about invisibility. A sharp increase in social media use, especially selfies and validation-seeking posts. Following influencers obsessed with transformation, empowerment, reinvention. New female friends who are divorced, resentful, or chaotic. Requests for space framed as finding myself. Music staying out later. Guarded phone behavior. Declining intimacy paired with defensiveness. Therapy that feels like preparation for departure instead of repair. Individually, these can seem harmless. Together, they form a pattern. Music and patterns speak before words ever do. Another major tell is history rewriting, when good years suddenly become bad ones. Music, when sacrifices get relabeled as control, when stability becomes music oppression. That isn't growth, it's justification. And once someone starts reframing the past to excuse present behavior, they're already halfway gone. Modern culture accelerates this. Women are told that following music feelings is bravery, that discomfort equals oppression, that commitment is optional if happiness dips. Therapy culture often reinforces this by validating emotion without interrogating motive. Social media amplifies it by rewarding performance. Every "you go girl" comment becomes proof. Proof the decision is right. Proof that destruction music equals empowerment. What disappears from that narrative are the children, the long-term consequences. The reality music, that novelty burns out quickly, but responsibility doesn't. Daniel learned that the hard way. Anna's new relationship collapsed in months. The family she left behind didn't regenerate on a fresh timeline. Here's the hardest truth. Daniel couldn't have fixed Anna's existential crisis. He could have been more romantic, more spontaneous, more attentive. It wouldn't have mattered. Her panic wasn't about him. It was about aging, desirability, and mortality. Some women process that transition with depth. They grieve youth quietly and build meaning elsewhere. Others try to outrun it. They blow everything up and call it freedom. Your job isn't to gamble on which outcome you'll get after decades of investment. Your job is to identify the type early and protect yourself accordingly. Watch how a woman handles aging. Observe how she reacts when attention fades. Notice her relationship with validation. Look at her friends. Are they grounded or chaotic? Ask about past relationships. Does she take responsibility or blame circumstances? These aren't guarantees. They're indicators. Protect yourself practically too. Maintain your identity. Don't make your wife the center of your universe. Stay fit. Stay socially connected. Keep purpose outside the relationship. Have options, even if you never plan to use them. Not to cheat. To remember you still exist as an individual. If the signs escalate, document behavior. Understand your legal position. Don't accept gaslighting about what you're seeing. You're allowed to trust your instincts. Sometimes walking away with dignity is the last power you have. Daniel rebuilt. He focused on his kids. He regained trust in his perception. Anna continued searching. New relationships, same language, same captions, still chasing a feeling that can't last. The kids are in therapy now, learning early that feelings can override promises and that stability is fragile when fear goes unexamined. Daniel wrote one final line that stayed with me. I don't hate her. I feel sorry for her. She's running from something inevitable and she destroyed something real trying to escape it. That's the quiet tragedy beneath these stories. Brother, this isn't about hating women. It's about understanding reality. Some women age with wisdom, others panic. Your responsibility is knowing which one you're building with and staying alert even when life feels comfortable. If this sharpened your awareness, comment protect. Just that word. Let it anchor the lesson. And if you want more unfiltered breakdowns like this, real stories, real psychology, real world music patterns, subscribe and join a growing community of men who value clarity, self-respect, and long-term thinking over comforting illusions. Awareness is protection.